Deputy County Secretary, who is the Chief Officer in the Office of the Governor, will be Joshua Auta Kuteha. Chief Officer for Risk Management and Service Delivery will be Dr. Vitalis Were Masaho. Chief Officer for Technical Services Units will be Joseph Maloba. Chief Officer Financial Management will be Adan Ahmed Mohamed. The Chief of Staff is Isaac Omungo. Chief Officer Trade, Enterprise Development, Weights and Measures is Shakir Gahan Adam. Chief Officer Industrialization and Tourism is Saxon Pueyu Osore. Chief Officer Public Service is Priska Otipa. Chief Officer County Administration is Doreen Amwoga. Chief Officer Finance is Dr. Jofita June Majuma. Chief Officer Economic Planning and Investments, David Msafiri Kulova. Chief Officer Budget and Ward Development Projects is Samson Otieno. Chief Officer Information, Communication and Technology is Fanuel Isayangwa Musasia. Chief Officer E-Government and Communication and ICT, of course, ICT I've already talked about. This is E-Government and Communication is Joseph Lutilo. Chief Officer Agriculture is Bill Graham Otieno Silingi. Chief Officer Livestock and Veterinary Services, Dr. George Barak Otieno. Chief Officer Fisheries Development, Mariam Nyongesa Were. Chief Officer Cooperatives Development, Emmanuel Jenga Karyuki. Chief Officer Land Administration, Survey and Housing, Stanley Maindi and Abo. Chief Officer Urban Areas and Physical Planning, Patrick Masaviro Butich. Chief Officer Social Services, Children's Services, Gender and Culture, Vivian Ayuma Ashiach. Chief Officer Youth, Sports and Labor Services, Joseph Abucheri Ashimbi. Chief Officer Medical Services, Dr. David Anekea Alila. Chief Officer Public Health, George Mukodo. Chief Officer Education, Science and Technology, Leah Hassandi Shisia. Chief Officer Water and Sanitation Services, Jessica Weku Wesonga. Chief Officer Environment, Natural Resources and Climate Change, Justin Makari Mutobera. Chief Officer Roads and Energy, Philip Otenyo Makonjo. Chief Officer Public Works, Pascal Hisawere. I've also done appointments of various advisors, and the political advisor will be Josephat Mwasame Katiti. Gender and Women Advisor will be Christine Oside Kimungui. Economic Affairs Advisor, Desterio Okumu. Advisor Strategy and Governance, Alfred Saidi Asabuli. And lastly, Youth Advisor, Emmanuel Museve Makoha. This is now the team that have given an opportunity to serve the county, and I know we are going to now transmit these names, especially for the county executive committee members and the chief officer for vetting, so that we can embark on delivering our mandates as soon as practicable. I want to appreciate all of you, at least for creating time so that you can come and receive this information. I know you've been having a lot of anxiety, and I thought it's important at least to exercise my constitutional mandates in appointing the officers that will be the key players in delivering my mandate. I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate all the nominees that have unveiled today, and after the vetting by the county assembly, we are hoping that those officers will deliver on their mandates. Otherwise, I want to thank you very much, and I may want to invite a few questions. Asanteni sana. Maswali kama mko sawa? Yes.
We understand that yesterday and Monday you have been in that date. Maybe they are actually saying that which say it's not which is that's actually where the line is being drawn.
First and foremost, I just want to confirm that as a public officer, having worked for some strategic institutions, you are held accountable even after you have left the institution.